Okay, hi friends! This is third attempt to make this video, so without further ado, let's go. I want to tell you about all books I have bought during spring of 2020. This is the worst spring in my life, and I think in many other people's life. And it is really stressful right now, and that's why I have bought a lot of things that makes me happy. I have bought a lot of books. Let's start with different genres. So first, I want to tell you about all historical fiction I have bought. First, I have bought two books by Kate Morton. These are my first Kate Morton books, I never read it. And I have bought The House at Riverton. This is supposed to be historical fiction, which is about, I think, two sisters and their secrets in their huge family. And this is a huge mansion with, I don't know, perfect for fans of Downton Abbey. That is what sells to me. I am a fan of Downton Abbey. I wanted to read Kate Morton for a long time, so I've bought it. And also I've bought her, I think, the most favorite book, The Lake House. This is about a huge estate in Cornwall, where there is 16 years old our main protagonist, and during this period of time a kid vanished from this mansion, and decades later she and also young policeman began to solve this mystery, and there are a lot of secrets in this family, so I think it has to be really interesting. Next book I have bought is Dangerous Fortune by Ken Follett. This is a mystery novel, I think, or historical fiction mystery novel about the boy who drowned in boarding school and aftermath of that. So there are mysteries, there are secrets, and boarding school. I don't want to hear any more. I want to read this. Then I have bought In Farley Field by Rhys Bowen. I bought this book in Russian, and in Russian it is marketed like a very serious, thrilling historical fiction. I do not believe it, because Rhys Bowen is the author of Her Royal Spiness books, and I mean the premise. There are 5 girls in the huge mansion, 5 sisters, during World War II, and the pilot with broken parachute falls to his death on their estate, and one of the sisters, with an old family friend and Me Too detective, they began to solve this mystery because they think that this pilot was a German spy. I think it will be a romance and cozy historical mystery, and I want to read it right now. Also, I've bought Light Years by Elizabeth Jane Howard. This is the first book of her Kazaleth series. There are 5 books about family. This book started between world wars, and I think this is a big family, and our main protagonists are 2 young girls in this family, and this book is often compared with Forsyte Saga, and this is one of my favorite books of all time, so I want to read this. Then I bought a book for my father, actually. I don't know if he likes it, but maybe I can read and we can discuss it. It's Mutiny on the Bounty by John Boyne. I read John Boyne, The Heart Invisible Furies, and liked it a lot. It was not my most favorite book of all time, but I liked it, and especially I liked the author language. So I think this book will be really fun. It is about 14-year-old Jacob Turnstile, who has gotten in trouble with police, and he has to choose between prison and go to work on this big ship who goes to Tahiti. And I knew nothing about Mutiny on the Bounty, but I think there is very famous movie with Anthony Hopkins in this movie. Sailors wanted to stay on the Tahiti forever, And so captain and few other people went to sail on a boat somewhere, on a small boat. So we'll see. I think it will be a great fun to read. Then I pre-ordered book, like many other booktubers. This is the Jane Austen Society by Natalie Jenner. It takes place during Second World War in a small English town, small English village, where Jane Austen lived one day. And some very like-minded but very different people gather to preserve both Jane Austen's home and her legacy. I like Jane Austen, it's my favorite author of all time, and I think this premise looks very interesting, so I want to read it in June. So I will tell you very soon how it was. Then I've bought a huge book, The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. It's 834 pages. It's very big. And it's about gold rush in New Zealand in 19th century. On a stormy night of his arrival, a young Walter Moody stumbles across a tense gathering of 12 local men who have met in secret to discuss a series of unexplained events. A wealthy man has vanished, a prostitute has tried to end her life, and an enormous fortune has been discovered in the home of a luckless drunk. It is big book, but it sounds so interesting. I hope it will be a page turner. And by the way, I know nothing about gold rush in New Zealand, and I can't wait to find out more about this. The last historical fiction book I've bought I can actually show you. This is Their Finest, or another name of this novel is Their Finest Hour and a Half. I bought it because I saw a movie by this book, and I liked it a lot. This book takes place in England during World War II, and our main protagonist, she's a writer. She's a newspaper writer or journalist. I don't remember. But she began to write a propaganda movie about Dunkirk, and the movie I watched, Their Finest, was very warm-hearted, very funny, interesting, engaging, and heartbreaking. So it has similar vibes to the Ganzi Literary Society and Potato Peel Pie Society. I hope this will be maybe even better. And yeah, I want to read it. Then I bought two mysteries, because I think, first of all, it's my favorite genre. Second, I think it's the best for summer. I mean, I read during summer two genres, mysteries and romance, and I've bought both. Historical fiction is my favorite genre of all time, so I buy it all the time. But okay, mysteries. First of all, I've bought three mysteries from Chief Inspector Among Gamache series by Louisa Penny. This is Still Life, Fatal Grace, and The Cruelest Month. Well, I know this is beloved series about Canadian inspector who lives in a small town near Quebec called Three Pines, so a small village, and solve mystery there. And I'm looking forward to read this. I know that first book is not very good, but second is better, and they become better in time. But of course I want to start with first and read the whole series. Also, I've bought Blue Monday. This is first book of Frida Klein mystery series by Nikki French. This is mystery novels about psychotherapists who solve mysteries by talking to people and going deep inside their memories and inside their thoughts. I think it's a really interesting premise, and I like psychological mysteries more than other subgenres, so I think I'm really excited about this. And also I can show you another book I've bought. This is my most favorite mystery book of all time, my most favorite mystery novel. This is Five Little Pigs by Agatha Christie. This is Hercule Poirot novel. In this novel, Hercule Poirot go back in time. So this girl came to him and told that like 15 or 10 years ago, her mom poisoned her father. And she died in prison. But this girl thinks that she was innocent, and so she asked Poirot to look inside this case. But 15 years, there is no evidence, physical evidence. All he can do, he talked to all people who were in this mansion during this murder, and then he solved this mystery. It is really interesting and it's psychological, and this is my favorite mystery of all time. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Then I've bought few romance books because summer. First book I've bought is To Heaven to Hawks by Martha Waters. It is fresh and hilarious historical rom-com. An estranged husband and wife in Regency England feign accidents and illness in an attempt to gain attention, and maybe just to win each other back in the process. It's really interesting premise. I like the cover and I think it will be great. I need something light, funny and interesting this summer because I'm very tired and I need something to wind up. Then I've bought first book from Girls Meet Dukes series by Tessa Dare. This is the Duchess Deal. This is supposed to be again Regency romance about Duke who was at the war and now he has scars and burns and he can't get married because of that. And then he met this girl who is brave and funny and poor, and they made a deal. She gave him an heir and he gave her money. I think they will fall in love in this marriage, but we'll see. And also I've bought Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I know this is very famous young adult book, never heard about it, never read it, but I've bought another graphic novel by Rainbow Rowell and liked it a lot. I'll tell about it in a minute. And so I wanted to give it a try. It's supposed to be a book about a girl who is writing fanfics, and also she has a twin sister, and I think it's coming of age and first love and family story, and why not? Of course I'm not young adult, but I like, interesting light books. And the last romance I've bought is Little Beach Street Bakery by Jenny Colgan. I think this is also like a series, but in this book, after her relationship ruins, this girl wanted to unwind and went to change her life and went to this small town near sea and opened bakery there and begin a new life. And I think there will be new romance and relationships. And again, summer, beach read, I need something like that. Let's quickly tell about graphic novels. First, I've bought and read Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell, and I liked it a lot. This is wonderful graphic novel, very beautiful drawn, very interesting, funny and engaging, about two high schoolers who work on a pumpkin patch. I really want to buy this book in physical form and just to pick it up every Halloween and look through this, because this is wonderful. This is full of pumpkin spice and corn mazes and all the stuff, and yeah, I want to have it in my house. Then this was one of my first, I've read I think 2 graphic novels in my life, so I liked it a lot, Pumpkinheads. And I've bought Kid Gloves by Lucy Nisley, I think. This is a graphic novel about pregnancy. I'm done with having babies, but I really want to read about other women experiences in pregnancies. So yeah, looking forward to read this. And the last book, I don't know why I bought it. The Cautioner's Tale by R.M. Wilburn. This is graphic novel. This is like a cozy mystery in graphic novel form. We'll see. I'll tell you what I think about this. I've bought 2 Frederick Backman books. I do not like Frederick Backman. I read 2 his novels and dislike both of them. But what I like in Frederick Backman works is his characters. They are very vivid, very true to life, very interesting and nuanced. What I do not like in Frederick Backman's novels is this coziness and cuteness to the point where it is unbelievable, and I do not believe this author, and I get really bored reading this because I do not believe all these relationships and how things worked out. But in these books, I've bought Beartown and Us Against You. This is 2 books in a series. The only hope of this town is their hockey team, and I think one of the boys from hockey team molested a girl, and it's supposed to be heartbreaking, serious, and maybe more important novel than others his works, so I want to give it a try. If I will like Beartown, I'll read second novel. If I will not like Beartown, I do not want to read any Backman. Like, this is the last chance to like Frederick Backman. Then I've bought 2 classic novels. First, this is A Pair of Blue Eyes by Thomas Hardy. This is my first Thomas Hardy, and this is supposed to be a novel about a girl and her choice between 2 men who were friends, but now they're enemies because of her. I think it will be very interesting. I'm really interested in this historical period, so we'll see. And the second book, it is Kristin Lavransdatter Debtor by Sigrid Undset. This is a family saga set in 14th century Norway. It is supposed to be very rich, interesting, with deeply nuanced characters. And guys, do you know anything about 14th century Norway? I know nothing about this, and I'm really interested in, read about this. I think looks great. Then I've bought few fantasy novels or sci-fi, fantastic novels, whatever. First, this is the Inheritance trilogy by N. Ken Jemisin. Award-winning fantasy series, a young woman becomes entangled in a power struggle of mythic proportions. It's supposed to be interesting and new world, and author works on this world really great. So we'll see. I really like fantasy novels with new interesting worlds, unusual worlds. I am looking forward to read this. The same trope, I bought Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This is first book in the Life Ship Trader series. People live on these ships, and these ships can come alive. And our main protagonist lives on the ship whom she likes very much. And then after her father's death, this ship supposed to go to her brutal brother-in-law, and maybe she'll she needs to deal with all this. I don't know more about this, but I know this is a great series and everybody loves it, and I want to read this probably during summer. And last but not least, I've bought Stephen King. Can you believe it? I hate Stephen. I read 2 or 3 Stephen King novels and hate both of them. And here we go again. I've bought 11/22/63. I think it's more like historical fiction book. There is this teacher in Maine who finds out how to travel back in time, and he wants to go back in time in American history and prevent the Kennedy assassination. I think I'm interested in this historical period and during Kennedy presidency, and I think it will be great to read about this. And I know that Stephen King is a great author. Maybe I've read wrong books by him. We'll see how I like it. And the last 3 books I have bought are nonfiction books. First of them is Wars and Womanly Face by Svetlana Alexievich. This is supposed to be a non-fiction book about women history of World War II, of Soviet army. So like stories of different women during World War II. I think that will be heartbreaking and very hard to read, but this is historical period that my grandmother and grandfather lived in, and I think I need to read this just to know more about this. So yeah, I bought this book. Actually, this author get a Nobel Prize because of this book, so I think it will be very important to read. Also, I've bought Feathers, The Evolution of a Natural Miracle by Thor Hansen. This is it. This is a book about feathers, about how they are constructed, about how their evolution during period, and I think this is really interesting. I like books like natural history books a lot, and so I'm looking forward to read this. And the last book I bought is one of my most favorite books of all time. This is autobiography by Agatha Christie. I love this book. Agatha Christie has interesting and very adventurous life, and I think she was very funny and clever woman. And I read this book, I think, every 3 years. I like to talk to her, and I think after reading this book I have this impulse to make my life more interesting, adventurous, and to be more brave in my life. So I think I need to read this again. These are all of the books I've bought during this strange spring. Please tell me about the books you've bought. Maybe you can recommend me something else. Especially tell me about graphic novels that maybe I will like, because I know nothing about them and I am eager to know more. Hope you'll have beautiful summer, and yeah, lots of bookish love. Bye!